Hello students, today we are going to discuss some numericals in chemical equilibrium. Okay, now the first problem is the active mass of 5.6 liters of oxygen gas at STP. Now here the mass of, what is the definition of active mass? Active mass is equal to number of moles divided by volume in liters. Now volume is given 5.6 liters, but the number of moles not given, but condition given STP. Yes, we know at STP 22.4 liters of a gas, nothing but 1 mole. Now 5.6 liters of a gas is how many moles? 1/4 moles. So number of moles is 1/4 divided by volume is the 5.6. 1/4 nothing but 0.25 whole divided by 5.6. So this will be the option number 4. Option number 4. Okay, in this what happens? We are calculating the active mass by using the formula number of moles divided by volume of the container in liters. Okay, if you want to further simplify, you will get the final answer actually 22.4, 1/22.4 moles per liter. Okay, now the second problem, this is a ammonium carbamate decomposes to give ammonia and carbon dioxide gas. Now the equilibrium pressure is given 3 atm, then find the Kp value. Now here first of all, what is the Kp expression? Ammonium carbamate on thermal decomposition to give ammonia and carbon dioxide. Okay, now actually we know the direct expression. In the previous videos, if you see the Kp expressions where we will discuss the ammonium carbamate decomposition. Okay, now let's suppose at equilibrium, let's suppose total pressure, what I am taking? P. Total pressure, what I am taking? P. Here there are two gaseous substances are there, which are in the 2:1 ratio. Reactant is solid. We should not consider the number of moles or pressure. So now what I am doing here, 2/3 P times of ammonia and 1/3 P times of carbon dioxide, because the total pressure is P. So 2P/3 plus P/3 will be equal to P. So I am distributing the total pressure into ammonia and carbon dioxide in 2:1 ratio. Okay, now here the Kp expression is equal to partial pressure of ammonia whole square multiplied by partial pressure of CO2. So the Kp expression will be equal to, what is the partial pressure of ammonia? 2P/3 whole square into what is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide? P/3. So finally the Kp expression will be 4/27 into P cube. If you know this formula, directly we can use ammonium carbamate decomposition. So 2:1 or 1:2 ratio gases must be present from the solid reactant. Okay, now here Kp is equal to 4/27 into, what is the total pressure given to you? 3 atm. So 3 cube. So 3 cube 27 gets cancelled. So Kp value become how much? 4. Kp value become how much? 4. So the answer will be 4. That is the option number 1. So directly using this formula, Kp is equal to what? 4 by 27 into Pq. Are you getting my point? Now, next question. A plus B equilibrium to give C plus D. Okay. Now in this equilibrium, the concentration of A and B both are equal initially. Initially means at a time interval T0. Let's suppose I am taking 1 mole A, 1 mole B. Let's suppose if you want to take the 2 moles of A, 2 moles of B, you can take. Otherwise X moles of A, X moles of B also you can take. For our simple convention, I am taking 1:1. Okay. There will be no products. When the system attaining the equilibrium, let's suppose X moles of A decomposes according to which X moles of B decomposes, so that X moles of C and X moles of D will be formed because the stoichiometry 1:1:1:1. Okay. Now, how to find the X value here? Kc to be calculated, Kc to be find out. So first of all, to find the Kc, we have to find the X value. For such purpose, there is one information given. At equilibrium, the concentration of D will be the double of the A. So this information at equilibrium, the concentration of a D will be 2 times of the concentration of A. What is the concentration of D at equilibrium? X is equal to 2 times of the, what is the concentration of A at equilibrium? 1 minus X. So X is equal to 2 minus 2X. So 3X is equal to 2. So X value 2 by 3. If the X value 2 by 3, 1 minus 2 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 minus 2 by 3, 1 by 3, here 2 by 3, here 2 by 3. So if the Kc expression, if you see, concentration of C multiplied by concentration of D whole divided by concentration of A multiplied by concentration of B. So 2 by 3 into 2 by 3 whole divided by 1 by 3 into 1 by 3. So the answer will be 4. That is the option number 4. Option number 4. Okay. Now come to the question number 4. What is the question number 4 here? The equilibrium constant for the reaction at 298 Kelvin. Now first of all, temperature T1 298 Kelvin. What is the equilibrium constant? Let's suppose K1, which is 5 into 10 raised to minus 3. When the temperature rises to 1000 Kelvin, then what is the equilibrium constant value? 2 into 10 raised to minus 5. What happens? Temperature increases, the equilibrium constant value decreases. That is, these two inversely proportional. The reaction will be exothermic. In exothermic reaction, we know delta H is always negative. Delta H sign is always negative. So the answer will be change in enthalpy, nothing but the delta H value is negative. So negative option is 2, second option. Once again, as the temperature increases, if the equilibrium constant decreases, that is exothermic reaction. Suppose if the temperature increases, equilibrium constant also increases, then that is endothermic reaction. In endothermic reaction, delta H value positive, whereas in exothermic reaction, delta H value is negative. Okay. Now come to the next question. Ammonium hydrogen sulfide decomposes to give ammonia gas and hydrogen sulfide gas. Now here also I am writing equilibrium reaction. Now here let's suppose at equilibrium, let's suppose total pressure, let's suppose P. Here there are two gases, ammonia and H2S, 1:1 ratio. Okay. Now If you divide the PATM into two parts in 1:1 ratio, you will get P by 2, P by 2. Yes, total pressure P. So that is the sum of the P by 2 and P by 2. Okay. Now I am writing the Kp expression, which is nothing but partial pressure of ammonia multiplied by the partial pressure of H2S. So the Kp expression will be equal to P by 2 into P by 2. So finally I am writing here the Kp expression is equal to P square by 4. If you remember this formula well and good, we can directly simplify the question. Okay, Kp is equal to P square by 4. It is only valid for solid gives two gases that are 1:1 ratio. 1:1 ratio, two gases must be present from the solid substance. Okay. Now what is the pressure given to you? 2 atm. 2 atm means 2 square. P square 2 square. So 4 by 4 gets cancelled. So final answer will be 1. So the Kp value here is 1. Kp value here is what? 1. Are you getting my point? Now come to the next question. A mixture of 0.3 moles of hydrogen and 0.3 moles of iodine is allowed to react in a 10-liter container. Okay. Now at 723 Kelvin in a evacuated flask at 723 Kelvin. Now the reaction is given H2 plus I2 equilibrium 2Hi. The equilibrium constant was found to be 64. The amount of unreacted I2 at equilibrium. Now first of all, I am writing the equilibrium reaction. H2 plus I2 gives rise to 2Hi. 2Hi. Okay. Now initially 0.3 moles of each hydrogen and iodine will be present. Okay, container volume is 10 liters. Okay, temperature is 723 Kelvin. Let's suppose when system attaining the equilibrium, let's suppose X moles of H2 decomposes, according to which X moles of I2 also decomposes, because the stoichiometry ratio 1:1 reactants, and 2x moles of product will be formed. Okay. Now here divided by number of volume of the container, divided by the volume of the container, need not to be divided by, because if the delta Ng value 0, so there will be no effect of the volume of the container. Okay. Now here this is the concentration at equilibrium. Now the Kc expression is equal to Hi whole square upon H2 into I2. Okay. What is the Kc given to you? 64. 64 is equal to Hi whole square whole divided by H2 into I2. Okay. If you simplify this one, you will get the X value 0.24. X value 0.24. Now the question is unused unreacted I2 at the equilibrium. Now at the equilibrium number of moles of I2, at the equilibrium number of moles of I2, 0.3 minus X, that is the 0.24. Okay. So 0.06 moles of I2 will be present at equilibrium. So the answer will be 0.06 moles. 0.06 moles. Are you getting my point? Now come to the next question. In this question, equilibrium constant of the reaction is 300 equilibrium constant. If the volume of the reaction is tripled, then what about the equilibrium constant? So we know what are the factors affecting equilibrium constant and what are the factors do not affecting the equilibrium constant. We know the Kp or Kc especially depending upon the temperature, okay, irrespective of the volume of the vessel. Are you getting my point? So in the sense, equilibrium constant depends only on temperature. Unless until temperature do not changes, Kp, Kc do not changes. Okay. So if you increase the volume or decrease the volume, if you increase or decrease the concentration of reactants or products, if you add the catalyst or in the absence of catalyst, there will be no effect of the equilibrium, there will be no effect on the value of equilibrium constant. So the constant equilibrium constant value, again you have 300 only, unless until temperature do not changes. So the K equilibrium is function of temperature only for a particular reaction, for a given reaction. Okay. Now HI was dissociated in a closed vessel at 700 Kelvin temperature till the equilibrium reached. At this temperature, 22% of HI was dissociated. What is the meaning of this one? That means if you take the 100 moles of HI, 22 moles of HI will be decomposed. Okay. If you take the 1 mole of HI, 0.022 moles decomposes. Let's suppose I am writing the equilibrium reaction. 2HI decomposes to give H2 plus I2. If you want to write the equation HI gives half H2 half I2, you can also write like that. Okay. Now what I am doing here, initially I am starting with 1 mole only. Okay. Now when the system attaining the equilibrium, now I am subtracting 0.22 moles from 1 mole because the degree of dissociation 22%. This is the percentage of degree of dissociation. Now according to which here 0.22 by 2, 0.22 by 2 moles of H2I2 will be formed because the stoichiometry ratio 2:1:1. So this will be 0.78, this will be 0.11 and this will be 0.11. Now we have to calculate Kc is a HI concentration whole square. Just write Kc is equal to concentration of H2 multiplied by concentration of I2 whole divided by concentration of HI whole square. Yes or no? Now what is the concentration of H2? 0.11. I2 is also 0.11 whole divided by 0.78 whole square. 0.78 whole square. Now final answer will be 0.0198. 0.0198. Okay. 0.0198, you have 199, option number 3. Okay. Now question number 9. In this question number 9, there is a equilibrium given to you, A plus 2B equilibrium 2C plus D. All are gases. This is a gas phase equilibrium. Initially the concentration of B was 1.5 times of the A. That means if the concentration of A I am taking 1, then the concentration of B becomes how much? 1.5 times. Are you getting my point? So for convenience I am taking 1. If you want to take X, then the concentration of B become 1.5 times of X. This will be initial condition. When system attaining the equilibrium, let's suppose X moles of A dissociated, according to which 2x moles of B decomposes, according to which 2x moles of C and x moles of D will be formed as per their stoichiometry. Now how to find the X value? There is one information given to you. At equilibrium the concentration of both A and B were found to be equal. At equilibrium, concentration of A and B were found to be same. What is the concentration of A? 1 minus x. Concentration of B 1.5 minus 2x. So 2x, bring the minus 2x to left side, 2x minus x will be x. Bring the 1 to right side, so x value you will get 0.5. X value you will get how much? 0.5. So 1 minus 0.5 will be 0.5. 1.5 minus 1 will be 1.5 minus 1 will be 0.5. Okay, now 2x, 2 into 0.5 become 1. This will be 0.5. Are you getting my point? Now, what is the Kc expression? Concentration of C whole square multiplied by D whole divided by concentration of A multiplied by concentration of B whole square. C whole square means 1 square into D means 0.5 whole divided by A means 0.5 into B means 0.5, B whole square means 0.05. 0.05. Are you getting my point? Now here 0.5, 0.5 gets cancelled. Okay, this become 1 by 2, 1 by 2 means 1 by 4, 1 by 1 by 4 means you will get final answer is 4. Final answer is what? 4. Okay, now come to next problem. The Kc for the reaction A plus B. So there are two reactions given to you. First reaction is given to you A plus B equilibrium C. What is the Kc value given to you? 4. Now one more equation is given to you. 2A plus D equilibrium gives C. The equilibrium constant value given to you 6. Now the question is, what is the equilibrium constant for C plus D equilibrium 2B? What is the equilibrium constant? Okay, first of all, in the required equation, the B value will be on the right hand side. But in the equation number 1, B will be on the left hand side. So first of all, inverse the reaction. That is the when the reactants products are interchanging. Equation 1 interchanging. So you will get Kc dash which is equal to 1 by 4. Okay, now the quotient of B will be 2, so I am multiplying with 2 on both sides. 2C equilibrium 2A 2B. When we multiplied with a suitable integer, then that integer will be raised to the power, so 1 by 4 whole square, that is 1 by 16. Now come to equation 2. This is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now what is the equation 2? 2A plus D equilibrium C. Okay, what is the equilibrium constant here? Kc value 6. Now if you add these two, 2A will be gets cancelled. Out of 2C, 1C will be remaining and D will be remaining on the left hand side. Equilibrium on the right hand side you will get what? A plus. On the right hand side you will get what? A cancel, only you have what? 2B. So the Kc, another Kc is equal to the product of these two equilibrium constants. When two reactions are added, the resultant equilibrium constant will be the multiple of the individual equilibrium constant values. So Kc double dash will be 1 by 16 into 6. 1 by 16 into 6. 6 by 16, which is equal to 0.375. 0.375. Okay. Now, next question. There are two reactions given. First reaction is given X gas gives 2Y gas. Okay. Now here what is the Kp1 expression for this? Kp1 expression is equal to 4 into alpha square P by 1 minus alpha square. We are directly using this expression. We know how to calculate the Kp expression in the previous videos. If you have any doubt, see the previous videos where I derived the Kp expression. A gives 2B, 1:2 gaseous system, that is N2O4 gives 2NO2 like. Okay. Now, number 2, another expression is given X gives P plus Q. This is also 1:1:1 system. A gives B plus C. Example, PCl5 gives PCl3 plus Cl2, where we derived that equilibrium constant Kp is equal to alpha square P by 1 minus alpha square. Yes or no? Now here in the question, if the degree of dissociation of X and Z, degree of dissociation alpha for both are equal, so that's why I am writing alpha, but the pressure will be different, that's why I am writing here P1, I am writing here P2. Okay. Now take the ratio 1 divided by 2, 1 divided by 2. So Kp1 by Kp2 is equal to how much? 1 alpha square, 1 minus alpha square gets cancelled. So you will get 4P1 by P2. So from here P1 by P2 is equal to 1 by 4 into Kp1 upon Kp2. The equilibrium constant ratio given to you 1:9. So 1 by 4 into 1 by 9. So the pressure ratio will become 1 upon 36. That is 1:36. 1:36. This is the first option. Remember, I am directly using the Kp expression here. So if it is possible, please practice the Kp expression. Otherwise, at every time we have to derive the expression, so which is a time wasting process. Okay, it is very important, this expression and this expression, both very important expressions. So we have to practice the Kp expression. Otherwise, we have to first of all derive the Kp expression, then only we can further continue. Okay. Now question number 12. In this question number 12, a closed vessel containing a mixture of dinitrogen dihydrogen gas initially in the ratio of 1:3 atmosphere at 573 Kelvin and 30 atmospheric pressure. If percentage of ammonia given percentage by volume of ammonia given at equilibrium 17.8, then find the Kp value for the equation N2 plus 3H2 2NH3. First of all, what I am writing here, equilibrium reaction N2 plus 3H2 equilibrium 2NH3. This is a gas phase system. Okay. Now initially you have 1:3 molar ratio of N2 and H2. So I am taking 1 mole nitrogen and 3 mole hydrogen. Okay, you may take X mole nitrogen, 3X moles hydrogen also, but for simplification I am taking 1:3 ratio directly. Let's suppose at equilibrium X moles of nitrogen decomposes, then 3X moles of hydrogen decomposes, because 1:3 ratio they have to react, and 2X moles of ammonia will be formed because the stoichiometry of ammonia will be 2. So what is the N total number of moles at equilibrium? 1 minus X plus 3 minus 3X plus 2X, which is equal to 1 plus 3, that is 4, minus 2X. This is the total moles at equilibrium. Now percentage by volume is same as percentage by mole. Instead of volume ratio, Shall I take the moles ratio? Yes, volume directly proportional to number of moles at constant temperature and pressure. Okay. Now, what is the number of moles of ammonia? 2x. By total moles, 4 minus 2x. This is the mole percentage of ammonia into 100, which is equal to 17.8. That is given in the question. 17.8, which is given in the question. From here, if you simplify, you will get the x value approximately 0.302. 0.302. So you can take x value 0.3 also. Okay. Now here, after getting the x value, now 1 minus x value 0.7, 3 minus 3x value here 2.1, 2x value 0.6. Total moles 1 minus 2x, 4 minus 2x, where x value is 0.3. So you will get total moles 3.4, here also 3.4, here also 3.4. So finally you are getting what? Mole fraction. After getting the mole fraction, we can find the partial pressure. How? Partial pressure will be equal to total pressure multiplied by mole fraction. Partial pressure equal to total pressure multiplied by mole fraction. So partial pressure will be mole fraction into total pressure. In the question it is given total pressure 30 atm. Okay, here 21 by 34 into 30, here 6 by 34 into 30. After getting the partial pressure, directly we can apply the Kp expression, where Kp is equal to partial pressure of ammonia whole square whole divided by partial pressure of nitrogen into partial pressure of hydrogen whole cube. Okay. After simplifying this expression, you will get the final answer 0.000712. 0.000712. Now come to question number 13. In the question number 13, the ammonia under a pressure of 15 atm, okay, at 300 Kelvin temperature. Now it is heated to 600 Kelvin closed container. Remember, here the volume of the vessel, that is constant, because it is a closed container. Already the information at last it is given, volume remains ineffectively, that is remains constant. Okay. Now first of all, what I am doing here, initial pressure, how much given to you? 15 atm. Okay. Initial temperature also given to you 300 Kelvin. Now the container is heated to where? 620 Kelvin. Then what about the pressure of ammonia? Remember, ammonia, now still it is in the form of ammonia only. Okay. It is not dissociated. Now when the temperature increases, pressure also increases. Here volume constant, container volume constant. So we know Gay-Lussac's law, pressure directly proportional to absolute temperature, keeping the volume constant. So from here I am writing P1 by P2 is equal to what? T1 by T2. So what is the P1? 15 atm. P2 to be calculated 300 Kelvin by 620 Kelvin. Okay. From here the P2 value, which is equal to 31 atmospheres. Now ammonia pressure becomes 31. Initially 15 atm. Now the reaction, from here the ammonia pressure I am taking 31 atmospheres. 31 atmospheres. Okay. Now initially, now ammonia has how much of pressure? 31 atm. There will be no moles of nitrogen and hydrogen. Let's suppose after attaining the equilibrium, P atmosphere ammonia decomposes, according to which P by 2 atmospheres of N2, 3P by 2 atmosphere pressure of hydrogen will be developed as per 2:1:3 stoichiometry. Now what is the P total at equilibrium? P total at equilibrium, which is 31 minus P plus P by 2 plus 3P by 2. P by 2, 3P by 2, 4P by 2, 2P plus 2P minus P plus P. So 31 plus P. But actually in the question it is given 50 atmosphere, increase it to 50 atmosphere. That is final pressure is given at equilibrium is 50 atmospheres, from which P is equal to 19 atmospheres. So this much of ammonia decomposes. Out of 31 ATM, 19 ATM will decomposes. So now I am writing percentage of decomposition. Percentage of decomposition out of 31 ATM, how much decomposes? P ATM. So P by 31 into 100. This is the percentage of degree of decomposition. P value 19 by 31 into how much? 100. So you will get 61.3 percentage. 61.3 percentage. Okay. Next question number 14. When 1 mole of acetic acid and 1 mole of ethyl alcohol at room temperature, the equilibrium mixture contains 2/3 moles of ester and water. This is also homogeneous but liquid phase reaction. Okay. Now here we have acetic acid CH3COOH plus ethyl alcohol. At equilibrium there will be formation of ester and also water. Okay. Now here initially 1 mole of acetic acid and 1 mole of ethyl alcohol present. Okay. Now when the system attaining the equilibrium, 2/3 moles of ester will be formed. Let's suppose x moles of acid decomposes, so x moles of alcohol is also decomposes, x moles of ester and x moles of water will be formed. What is the x value given to you? 2/3. So here 1 minus x value, 1 minus 2/3, 1/3, 1 minus 2/3, 1/3. Are you getting my point? Now the Kc expression, concentration of ester multiplied by concentration of water whole divided by concentration of acetic acid and concentration of ethyl alcohol. Okay. So which is 2/3 into 2/3 whole divided by 1/3 into 1/3. So the final answer Kc value is how much? 4. Kc value is how much? 4. Okay. Now question number 15. In this question, limestone decomposes. What is the limestone decomposition expression? CaCO3 equilibrium CaO plus CO2. Okay. Now except CO2, the remaining two substances are solids. We know how to write the Kp expression. Kp is equal to partial pressure of CO2. What is the Kp value given in the question? 1.16 atm. That means the partial pressure of CO2 is 1.16 atm. Now here from the partial pressure of CO2 we can find how many moles of CaCO3 will be decomposes. How? From the ideal gas expression, PV is equal to what? nRT. Okay. What is the pressure? 1.16 atm. What is the volume of the container here given to you? 10 liters. 10 liters. Number of moles of CO2 to be calculated. R value 0.0821 and the temperature will be 1073 Kelvin. 1073 Kelvin. Are you getting my point? Now from here, if you simplify, you will get the number of moles of carbon dioxide 0.132 moles. This much of CO2 will be present. That means this much of CaCO3 will be decomposed, because 1 mole of CaCO3 when decomposed it give 1 mole of CO2. If the 1 mole of CO2 is there, that means 1 mole of CaCO3 will be decomposed. Similarly, 0.132 moles of CO2 will be formed, means 0.132 moles of CaCO3 should decompose at equilibrium. Now actually, initially how many grams of limestone is given to you? 15 grams. So first of all, initial number of moles of limestone. How to find the number of moles? Given mass divided by molar mass. What is the mass of limestone given to you? 15 grams. Molar mass 100, 0.15. Out of 0.15 moles, 0.132 moles dissociated. Are you getting my point? That means here number of moles dissociated is equal to initial number of moles minus number of moles dissociated at equilibrium. Are you getting my point? So this will be the number of moles dissociated. Number of moles dissociated. Number of moles dissociated. Okay. Now here, actually, just wait. Now here, how many moles decomposes? 0.132 moles. How many moles present here? 0.15 moles. How many moles taken I am? 0.15 moles we are taking. Out of which how many moles dissociated? 0.132 moles. So from here directly we can calculate percentage of CaCO3 decomposed. Percentage of CaCO3 decomposed. Total number of moles of CaCO3 0.15, out of which 0.132 dissociated moles. So the percentage will be 0.88, or in terms of degree of decomposition we can write into 100. So your answer is 88% dissociated limestone. But the question is unreacted limestone, that is remaining 100 minus 88, that is 22% undissociated. Remaining means undissociated limestone will be 20. Just wait, here also small mistake is there. Here 12%. 100 minus 88 is equal to how much? 12%. Okay. Now question number 16. In this question number 16, 2A plus B equilibrium 2C plus D. Okay. In this what happens? Initially 2 moles of A and B given to you. So there will be no moles of the product. Okay. Let's suppose when system attaining the equilibrium, X moles A decomposes, according to which X by 2 moles of B decomposes and X moles of C will be formed. Okay. And X by 2 moles of D will be formed. Now in the question, at equilibrium 0.4 moles of D will be present. Number of moles of D will be 0.4 moles. That means X value becomes 0.8. After putting the value of X here, you will get here 1.2, here you will get 1.6, here you will get 0.8, here you will get 0.4. Okay. Now how many total moles? Total number of moles 1.2, 1.6, 0.8, 0.4. Total number of moles at equilibrium 4. So I am calculating the mole fraction. Given moles by total moles, given moles by total moles, given moles by total moles, given moles by total moles. Okay. After that finally we are getting the mole fraction 0.3, 0.4 and 0.2 and 0.1. After getting the mole fraction, we can directly correlate the partial pressure, because partial pressure directly proportional to mole fraction. This is very important. Partial pressure is equal to total pressure into mole fraction. Now the question is incorrect statement, incorrect relationship. Okay, if you see first one, partial pressure of A less than B, partial pressure of A less than B, obviously because the mole fraction of A less than mole fraction of B, so partial pressure of A is always less than partial pressure of B. This is the correct one. And one more, partial pressure of D will be less than the partial pressure of C. This is also correct. So first option is correct. Come to second option, partial pressure of C 2 times of the partial pressure of the D. Partial pressure of the C will be 2 times of the D. Yes, partial pressure of C will be 2 times of the partial pressure of the D. This is also correct. And partial pressure of A will be equal to 3/4 times of the partial pressure of B. This is also correct. This is correct. This is correct. Next, number 3 option, partial pressure of A equal to C. Partial pressure of A, partial pressure of C, they should not be equal. But in the question they are saying partial pressure of A equal to partial pressure of C, and also partial pressure of P and D. Partial pressure of B and partial pressure of D also not equal. So incorrect statement here is option number 3. Option number 3. Okay. Now there is one important topic here, efflorescent substance. In generally, if a substance present in the atmospheric air, then what happens? It loses certain amount of water quantity into the atmosphere. The loss of water molecule when a hydrated substance present in the air is known as a efflorescent. The common examples are, best example, drying of the cement. Now the next another definition is the hygroscopic, or sometimes we can say deliquescent. Now hygroscopic substances are those substances which absorb water from the atmospheric air. Those substances which absorb the water moisture known as a hygroscopic, and they do not enough to form the solution. They absorb the water, but they do not completely convert it into the solution state, like calcium oxide, sodium nitrate, NaCl is a deliquescent, cupric oxide, sucrose, and certain strong acid like concentrated sulfuric acid, concentrated hydrochloric acid. What they do, they absorb the water from the air, okay, and they dilute it, okay. They are the best hygroscopic substances. In hygroscopic substances, this is also indirectly deliquescent, but strictly speaking, if a hygroscopic substance absorb the water from the moisture from the atmosphere and they form a aqueous solution, they must be form a aqueous solution, okay. If they absorb the water and they do not turn into the solution, that is hygroscopic. If they absorb the water and they turn into the solution, then deliquescent. Are you getting my point? Now here, the vapor pressure of a saturated water known as a aqueous tension. The vapor pressure of water, if it is more than the partial pressure of the water corresponding to the substance, then water absorbed by the substance from the air, such substance is referred as hygroscopic substance. Are you getting my point? If the aqueous tension or vapor pressure is greater than the partial pressure of the water of the substance, then the substance try to absorb the moisture from the atmospheric air is known as a hygroscopic substance. Now the reverse one, if the aqueous tension will be less than the partial pressure of the water of the substance, then the substance will lose water into the atmosphere. Such substance is known as a efflorescent substance. Are you getting my point? If the vapor pressure of water greater than the partial pressure of water, then the substance is known as a hygroscopic. Sometimes we can say deliquescent. If the vapor pressure of water less than the partial pressure of water, then the substance is known as a efflorescent. Known as what? Efflorescent. And one more important definition we have to know: what is the relative humidity? What is the definition of relative humidity? It is a ratio between the partial pressure of the water divided by the vapor pressure of the water, that is the aqueous tension. Are you getting my point? Now, how much of the water air can hold divided by maximum amount of a water that can air hold. This is the maximum amount of water that air can hold. In the numerator, the amount of water that is present in the air. Okay, so this value is known as a relative humidity. Relative humidity, very important. Now, when different hydrated substances and their Kp values are given, then the substance with least partial pressure of the water, least partial pressure of water, the substance whose partial pressure of water is least, that will act as a good drying agent. Drying agents are those substances which readily absorb the water, like let's suppose calcium chloride, anhydrous. It has a great tendency to absorb the water from the surrounding to form hydrated salt. To form hydrated salt. Such substance is known as a drying agent. Is known as what? Drying agent. When a substance acts as a good drying agent, when its Kp value will, when its partial pressure will be less. Okay, if 3-4 compounds are given, out of which is a best drying agent, then we have to calculate the pH2O, that is the partial pressure of the H2O, from which we can identify the good adsorbent, good drying agent or good adsorbent. Okay, now there is a one question. The equilibrium constants are given for the following reaction. Here SrCl2 strontium chloride dot 6H2O, this is the equilibrium symbol. Here also equilibrium symbol. Okay, now three substances are given and their Kp values are given. In the forward direction, the substance loses water, you see. In the backward direction, the substance absorbing the water. In the forward direction, the substance loses water into the atmosphere. That is known as a efflorescent. In the forward direction, efflorescent. In the backward direction, what happens? The substance absorbing the water from the air. Okay, that means the backward reaction, that is a hygroscopic or deliquescent nature. Okay. Now the question is, first question is, which is a most effective drying agent at 0 degrees Celsius. Now just now I told you, to identify a good drying agent, we have to identify the partial pressure of H2O substance. Okay, which has least value, that is a good drying agent, best drying agent. Now here first equation given, SrCl2 dot 6H2O solid, SrCl2 2H2O and 4H2O gas. Remember, only 4H2O gas, remaining solids. So in the Kp expression directly we can write Kp is equal to partial pressure of water to the power 4, or partial pressure of H2O is equal to Kp to the power 1/4. Here from the Kp expression we can find the partial pressure of water. Okay, now come to second equation. Sodium dihydrogen phosphate dot 12H2O gives sodium hydrogen phosphate 7H2O plus 5H2O. This 5H2O only gas, the remaining solids. So here we are writing the Kp expression, which is equal to P to the power 5. Here the stoichiometry 5, so partial pressure of H2O to the power 5. From here, the partial pressure of water become 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. And third one is there, sodium sulfate 10H2O. Here 10H2O water molecule loses in the gaseous state. Okay. Now Kp expression is equal to pH2O to the power 10. From here pH2O is equal to Kp to the power 1 by 10. Kp given to you. From here we are calculating the Kp. Now there are 3 Kp values we calculate. What are those? Number 1, for SrCl2 the Kp value will be 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 5. And sir, second value sodium dihydrogen phosphate, the not Kp, P value. And here for sodium disodium hydrogen phosphate, partial pressure of water 3 into. And sodium sulfate 10H2O, partial pressure of water will be 2 into. So out of these 3 values, which is the least value? Least value 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 3. Highest value, this is the highest value. So the least value SrCl2, which is a good or a best absorbing agent. So that's why order of efficiency of drying agent SrCl2.2H2O followed by Na2SO4 followed by sodium dihydrogen phosphate 7H2O. Okay. Now here water vapor pressure, that is the aqueous tension, it is also given in the question. It is also given in the question, which is the 4.56 torr. Okay. So from here we can calculate the vapor pressure of the water. What is the vapor pressure of the water? 4.56 torr, which is converted into ATM divided by 760. This is the 6 into 10 raised to minus 3. Okay. Now here the vapor pressure in all these 3 cases, you see what is the SrCl2 partial pressure 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 5. I am writing the value here, 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 3. Now sodium sulfate 2 into 10 raised to minus 3. 2 into 10 raised to minus 3. Okay. Now the next one is the sodium dihydrogen phosphate 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. All these are the partial pressure of water. Now this is the vapor pressure of water. Now in all these cases the vapor pressure of water is greater than what? Partial pressure of water. That means in all these reactions backward reaction favorable. Are you getting my point? Backward reaction is favorable. Now here there is a one question. At what relative humidity Na2SO4 be deliquescent? That means it absorbs the moisture. Okay, when exposed to the air at 0 degree Celsius. Now first of all calculate the relative humidity. How to calculate the relative humidity? Partial pressure of water by vapor pressure of water into 100. Partial pressure of water, here we have Na2SO4 partial pressure, that is 2 into 10 raised to minus 3. Vapor pressure of water just now we calculated here. So the value is 33.33%. Now after calculating the relative humidity, at this 33.33%, if the relative humidity in the atmosphere is exactly 33.33%, there will be no any loss of water or gaining of water. That means here the compound neither act as a efflorescent nor act as a deliquescent. Are you getting my point? Now the question is deliquescent. If the relative humidity will be above this 33.33%, above 33.33%, then it will act as a deliquescent or hygroscopic substance. This is a very important statement. If the relative humidity is above 33.33%, then only the compound behaves as a hygroscopic or a deliquescent. So the compound, in order to behave as a deliquescent or a hygroscopic, its relative humidity should be greater than 33.33. This is the first option, above 33.33. Okay. Now related to this, one more question is there. At what relative humidity sodium sulfate 10H2O will be act as a efflorescent? Same, here also we have to calculate the relative humidity, which is always here in this case 33.33 in this case only. Okay, now here the question is efflorescent. For efflorescent, the relative humidity should be below 33.33%. If the relative humidity greater than 33.33%, the compound act as a deliquescent. Be clear? If the same compound is there but relative humidity is less than 33.33%, then the compound act as a efflorescent. At 33.33% of relative humidity, the compound will neither act as a deliquescent nor act as a efflorescent. Once again, if the relative humidity calculated value, okay, that more than that calculated relative humidity value only, the compound will act as a hygroscopic or deliquescent, and less than that calculated relative humidity value only, the compound will act as a efflorescent. Related to this topic, one more question is there. Copper sulfate pentahydrate gives copper sulfate 3H2O and 2H2O. The 2H2O is a gas, so directly I am writing the Kp expression pH2O whole square. So what is the Kp value given to you? 2.25 into 10 raised to minus 4. If you take the under root of 2.25 10 raised to minus 4, you will get 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 2. Now convert this ATM into torr by dividing by 760, because we know 1 ATM is equal to 76 centimeters of mercury level height or 76 millimeters of mercury height. Here 760 torr, honor of the scientist Torricelli. Okay. Now what is the vapor pressure of water? In the question it is given to you. How much? 22.8. What is the partial pressure of water? 11.4 torr. So calculate the RH value, which is equal to 50%. Now in the question, efflorescent or deliquescent? Efflorescent. That means the relative humidity should be less than the 50%, then the compound act as a efflorescent. So below 50% is the correct answer. Below 50% is the correct answer. Are you getting my point? This is a very important topic.